Okay, I'm going to make this third video today, which will be the 6th video of this series about Kalachakra to you, Anais. And I was saying that the Kalachakra has to be understood through the Khan Hulagu. Now, Hulagu, when he did this massacre, and now when we look back at this massacre, why did it happen, and what were the forces in presence? The Hulagu had gathered the greatest army of the Mongol Empire, and inside that army there were all kinds of forces. So it was not a Buddhist army attacking Muslims. That's far from it. It was not at all that. And this means that Kalachakra actually represents something else, far different things than Buddhism. It represents his when he devastated Baghdad and destroyed Baghdad, but he gave instructions to the Christians to gather inside the churches, and his troops had instructions to leave the churches intact and not destroy them. So the Christians hid inside the churches, and the army, the Mongol army, destroyed all of Baghdad and he did the greatest massacre of the history of humanity, but they did not touch the churches. They left the churches untouched. So that's one aspect of Kalachakra and of Hulagu's army. But there were other things too. For example, he destroyed the assassins who were a plague to all of the Muslims. So when he delivered the Muslims of the assassins, then in Iran, the assassins were in mountains in Iran, yes, then the Iranian Muslims joined Hulagu in marching on Baghdad, because getting rid of Baghdad was also a positive point for other Muslims, particularly the Muslims who were opposed to the Baghdad's, because there are sects inside of Islam. There are many sects there. For example, the Shias and the Sunnis, and the Baghdad of the Baghdad Caliph was Sunni, and he was like the that's a good sign. It's auspicious. The Caliph of Baghdad was the Pope, the Godhead of Sunni Islam. So for the Shiite Iranians who joined Hulagu, and also other Sunnis, other Muslims who were Sunnis, so he had both Sunnis and Shiites who joined him and were part of the army in attacking Baghdad. Taking down the Caliph was very rewarding to them, because this was a way of asserting themselves as the true leaders of the Muslims. This was a very good prey, an interesting prey, rewarding prey, this Caliph, for them. So you had Muslims, you had Buddhists, and you had Christians inside Hulagu's army. And it was the largest army of the Mongol Empire, so there were all kinds of other people. He had very many Chinese who were in his army. So they drew people from everywhere. From all this area, all the area. And they all marched on Baghdad and destroyed this Muslim. So now let's look at who were the enemy on the other side. On the other side, you had this caliph, who was a Muslim, Sunni Muslim, and he oppressed. So Hulagu was like the freer, the liberator, and the Muslim was the oppressor of everybody, the same people. He was the oppressor of the Christians, oppressor of the Jewish, oppressor of the Shiite. He was oppressing his own Muslim forces. So Kalachakra and Hulagu and the deity Kalachakra appeared as the liberator of the world, because you have a nucleus of the whole world, both in Baghdad with the caliph. In Baghdad. Baghdad was a very affluent and powerful place at that time, and the Muslim was the oppressor under the Islamic power. He was oppressing the whole world. All the world was represented in Baghdad. Baghdad was the most affluent and culturally advanced cultural of the world at that time, very progressive. But this Muslim appeared as the oppressor of the religious identities of these various forces, which were all under him, and he had the upper hand over them. The main difference in Baghdad was that in Baghdad there wasn't a very strong Buddhist presence. Maybe there were Buddhists, but it was not strong presence. Whereas with Hulagu, the predominance of Buddhism was there. So the principles of compassion and love and tolerance, which are typical of Buddhism, were predominant in the Kalachakra alliance. Whereas in the Islamic alliance, it was the Islamic predominance in the Islamic philosophy which was predominant, which was not compassionate, which is not loving, and which teaches jihad and killing non-Muslims. And so there was a big difference. There was a big difference between Baghdad and Hulagu. But Hulagu had a gruesome, gory, bloody side, and the Caliph also the Caliph also had the Islamic, gory, bloody side. So this was pitching one violence against another violence. So we could say with Kalachakra and the Caliph is the lesser of two evils, because we're comparing two evils here. Because there's no ultimate virtue in either Hulagu or the Caliph. But it's like I was talking about the surgeon. A surgeon has to do evil. He has to cut, and he has a bloody job. His job is in blood, and it's not a. It's a very heavy and difficult job which he does, and which is revolting to a person who has to an emotional person. It's very revolting, all this blood which a surgeon does. But he has the noble task of saving life and of fighting evil face on, whereas somebody who's not a surgeon, he can't attack the evil in the same way. So Kalachakra is a very efficient means of attacking, and Kalachakra gets down in the dirt and does the job, whereas other people sit on the fence and just watch, and they're moral, whereas Kalachakra is down there dirty and does the job. So I think I've cleared up some aspects. So I'm very happy that you people are listening to this, so I can explain this. It's a very rare thing. Explaining this is a very rare thing. This is a one-time video.